Here's what nobody's telling you about sales. You're not struggling because you're bad at closing. You're struggling because subconsciously you're terrified of hearing no and being rejected. And that fear, it might be costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in closed deals. Now, first of all, my name is Craig and I've trained many salespeople, specifically in high ticket sales. And the number one thing that separates the top 1% from everybody else isn't just talent or charisma. It's how they think about rejection. And today I'm going to rewire your brain around the word no so you can start making the money you're capable of making. Now, most people are freaking terrified of hearing no, right? Rejection triggers the same part of your brain as physical pain, and that's a fact. So when somebody says, I'm not interested, your brain interprets it as a threat and you avoid, hesitate, and you don't follow up hard enough. Now, this is why salespeople quit after a few months. They get 15 no's, 5 maybes, and 2 closes. And instead of seeing it as progress, they see it as failure. But here's the key thing that most people don't understand. Those 15 no's, they were the key to getting those 2 yeses. Here's the thing, numbers don't lie, people do. Your feelings about how you're doing, I'm sorry to say this, but it's irrelevant. Your emotions, your fear, and your discouragement, they're lying to you. The numbers tell the truth. Now, here's the close rate reality. Let's just take, for example, a 20% close rate. That is 8 rejections and 2 yeses per 10 calls, right? A 25% close rate, well, that is 3 rejections and 1 yes per 4 calls. And here's the key. Those numbers don't change based on how you feel. Over time, you always revert to the mean. That is just statistics, that's math, that's the reality. The no, it's not personal, right? When somebody says no, that's not a reflection on you or your skill. That's just math playing its course. You're basically running into people who would have said no in any way, right? So think of it this way. You're just getting your no's out the way. Every no gets you closer to a yes. So instead of thinking, fuck, I just got another no, I'm failing, start thinking, hell yes, great. I just got another one of my 8 no's out of the way, right? And I'm closer to my next yes. So here's an example. You take 10 calls and you get 0 deals. Most salespeople will panic, right? But if you understand simple and plain math, you just cleared, out all of the 10 no's, which means you're due for a string of yeses. Now, here's the law of averages, and the law of averages always wins. If your close rate is 20% and you take 100 calls, you're going to close around 20 people. And when you have a bad day or a bad week, you're not broken. You're just experiencing variance, right? You're on the no side of the curve and the yes side of the curve is on the way, right? Now here's the thing. Amateurs will quit. The professionals keep dialing, knowing that the math is on their side. And here's the secret. Start loving the no's. Every no is progress. You're literally getting paid to hear no because those no's are the bridge to the yeses. And if you close 2 out of 10 calls and make $5K per close, you're making $10K per 10 calls. Each call is worth $1,000 on average. Even the ones that are telling you no. Think of it that way, right? Just break down how many what you're making, how many calls you're taking, and divide the math. And then this will be so much easier on your brain when you think of, instead of thinking of, oh, I only get paid for the yeses. No, think about you get paid for taking every single call, right? Think about it that way. Now, here's why top performers take massive volume. They know most calls will be no's. They're not dreading each call, right? They want to get through the no's as fast as possible to get to the yeses, right? And if you get 8 no's, right, to get 2 yeses, the fastest way to get those 2 no's is to get through those 8 no's quickly. So instead of, 10 calls a week, they take 30. They're not better at closing, they just understand the game, right? Bad weeks, well, they set up for great weeks. And when you have 0 sales, don't think I'm terrible. Rather think, I just stockpiled a bunch of no's, and next week's gonna be freaking massive because I got the no's out the way. And if you're supposed to close 20% over time and you closed 0% this week, the system will correct, right? The mean will always revert, or the numbers will always revert to the mean, right? And you're due for a 40% week. That's just how math works, right? So if you had if you close 0% this week and your close rate is 20%, next week you might close 40%, right? Because that, again, is just how math works. Now, here's the thing, you have to stay emotionally neutral. Don't get too high on good weeks and don't get too low on bad weeks. You're just a salesperson executing a process, and the numbers are doing what numbers do best, right? And here's an actionable plan for you. Step 1, know your numbers. Track your close rate, track your calls per day, track your revenue per call. 2, celebrate the no's. Every rejection gets you closer to a yes. Step 3, increase your call volume. You cannot control the yeses, right? But you can control how many bats you get, right? And number 4, detach yourself from the outcome. Stop trying to convince everybody. Your job is to present clearly and let the math do its thing. Sales is a numbers game, right? And once you understand the numbers, you stop fearing the no's and start embracing them. And remember, every no gets you closer to a yes. So the next time you get rejected, smile, because you just cleared another obstacle between you and your next commission check. Because numbers don't lie, people do. Trust the math, take the calls, let the law of averages make you rich. And if this video helps you, drop any comment down below, let me know your thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.